know her as the host of The Real CHS, but I know her as Genesis Kabug. And our student connection, big round of applause for Genesis. Let's try it again. Okay, yeah, okay. Genesis Kabug! Awesome, awesome. So you're back here again.
Yes, I am.
Good to see you.
You too.
High fives. Cerritos high five it live. Five, the real live CH.
Continue.
Sorry. So we're here today because we're talking about these things, rectangular words on pages. We like to call them books.
Uh-huh.
You've seen them.
I've read them, yes.
Yes, me too. We have them in common. That's so awesome. What would you say maybe is like a book that had an impact in your life? You know, is there one maybe from recent or when you were younger that really kind of sticks with you?
Actually, yes. It's a book that I read last year.
Okay.
It's called The Pack.
Okay. Now, was this something that was required reading for class, or was it kind of an outside reading, or did you just pick it up because you were interested in it?
It was one of my friends who sat next to me. She was reading it, and she was like, "This is such a good book." And so I borrowed it from her, and actually I still have the book because it's such a good book. So I kept it, and she said I could have it though. So I talked to her about it. Anyways, but it was a really good book.
Okay.
And so it wasn't required basically for.
Wow. And so why does it stick out among books that maybe you've read over the years?
Well, actually, I don't really know because I love the story, but I don't know if it's all about the story that I really like it. I think it's because when I read it, it's like I could picture it. You know what I mean? And like sometimes when you read novels or like long books, you can't really like visualize it. But I guess the detail that the author had in the story, it was really good, and so I think that's why I liked it so much. I mean, also because it was such a good book, but you know. Maybe
that's what made it a good book.
Yeah, I think that's what had it, like, made it a really, really good book, more than just a good book.
I think for most readers, that's what makes reading pleasurable. For people who go, hey, I like to read, it's because they can kind of get into the story and they can kind of have like a running movie in their head.
Yeah.
They picture what they're reading, and part of that's imagination, and part of that's just willing to put in the effort into it. You know, and it sounds like your experience was like, you know, that book helped you do that when maybe other books didn't, you know. And I think for people who kind of go, I don't really like reading, or I'm not interested, they haven't had a chance to find things, to pick things on their own. It's always just been, this is what school's telling you to read. Read chapter 5 in your science book. Read this novel for English, as opposed to this was recommended by a friend. You know, you should go back to her and go, hey, have you read anything else good? She could probably recommend some other good things for you. So, well, if we're at school, you know, what are you reading right now?
I'm reading the book, The Great Gatsby.
Great Gatsby? Scott Fitzgerald.
Okay.
Yes, yes.
That's the book.
And how's that going for you?
We actually just started. We started the first chapter today.
So just kind of getting into it.
Yeah, but I mean, all I know about it is that it's about the Roaring '20s. That's it. I don't know anything else, and yeah.
And a guy named Jay Gatsby.
Yeah, is that the person?
That's
is that the main?
Yeah, that's him.
Okay.
And
I didn't know that.
It's interesting that you bring that up because I didn't read that book when I was in high school.
Oh, you didn't?
It was not part of our required reading at the time. And you know, as I've gotten older, become a teacher, there's kind of this big list of books that I thought, you know, I should have read, or you know, I should have read these books. You know, as being a teacher. So over the last couple of years, and I'm a slow reader, painstakingly slow. Yeah. But you know, I stick it out and I do the best I can. It just takes me a long time to get through books. So a few summers ago, I decided to read The Great Gatsby, and I loved it. I still think about it every now and again because I really enjoyed reading it. Because like you, I could imagine all those things going on in my head.
Oh.
But at the same time, it made me think, if I would have read this book when I was in high school, I really think I would have struggled with it, and that I couldn't appreciate it in high school with the amount of education I had at the time and life experience as I can now as, you know, an adult in my 30s. That I just wasn't at a place to enjoy it the way, in a fullest experience. So I always kind of wondered about that stuff.
Well, I hope that I get something from it where I can, you know, visualize and stuff. Because I read the first page today, and I read it over and over, and I had no clue.
Right.
I had to like register. I don't know if it's the words that the way they were put or something, but
yeah,
I hope I can get through it because
I think that's part of it. That like Fitzgerald has a really dense vocabulary, and there's probably a
totally.
lot of words that you're like, I'm not sure what that means, you know, and if you know, like you mentioned, the book takes place in the Roaring '20s. Right. So like if in history you're studying the Roaring '20s, that's really going to help you. You know, teachers do that kind of thing on purpose because they figure if they give you the historical context for the book, what's going on outside of the story space, then the things that happen in the story make more sense.
Right.
Oh, that's why this character is behaving this way. Oh, that's why they do this,
right.
because that was going on at the time.
I think also
you know?
My English teacher, he gives us vocabulary and study questions we have to do for each chapter.
Right.
So hopefully that makes me understand it more too.
Yeah, and you know, I think a lot of times it's hard to get kind of hooked into a book in the beginning. That's when most people give up.
That's
you know,
true.
If a book is 200 pages long, rarely does someone get to 180 pages and go, oh, I'm going to quit this book.
Yeah, that's true. They get to 180 because they like it, and so they keep going.
And you are going to find tough spots and dry spots, and you know, I would say you just keep going.
Right.
You know, sometimes it's like movies. You know, not every movie is wham bam, awesome, knockdown from minute 1 to minute 120. There's parts that are kind of dry, but that doesn't mean you go, oh, stop, I'm done. Yeah. You just know, hey, it's going to pick up or it's going to change or something's going to happen. And if you stick with it, I think that you will really enjoy it. Because there are some pretty crazy things that happen in that book that are you know, interesting. And him as a character is really interesting.
Oh, so. Well, I hope I like it. You know.
As always, Genesis, the pleasure is all yours. And I'm so good to see you again.
Too.
And we'll see you next time.
All right.